Most people believe that the reason they're not growing in life, financially, professionally, or personally, is because they're not working hard enough. So they push themselves more. They wake up earlier, sleep later, accept more responsibilities, take on more tasks, say yes to everything, exhaust their energy, sacrifice their time, and convince themselves that this is what success requires. But what if I told you the problem isn't that you're not working hard? It's that you're working emotionally. Because there is a specific emotional mistake, subtle, silent, and extremely common, that makes people work harder and harder while growing less and less. And the worst part is, most people never even notice they're making it. If you've ever felt like you're giving everything but receiving so little, if you've ever looked at your life and wondered why your effort isn't translating into results, then this video was made for you. And before we continue, hit the like button and subscribe, because this content is exactly for people who want to evolve, not just survive. The emotional mistake I'm talking about shows up in millions of people every single day. It's not laziness, it's not lack of intelligence, it's not lack of discipline. It's something deeper. Something inside the mind that feels true, feels logical, feels necessary at the moment, but ends up trapping you in a cycle of exhaustion and stagnation. That mistake is working from fear instead of strategy. Fear of losing your job, fear of not being enough, fear of disappointing others, fear of falling behind, fear of missing out, fear of instability, fear of not having more tomorrow, fear disguised as responsibility. Most people are not driven by ambition. They're driven by fear. They work hard not to grow, but to avoid failing. They work not for progress, but for protection. Their effort is not directed forward. It's directed away from something they're afraid will happen if they don't keep pushing. And fear-driven work is endless. It never feels like enough. It never feels safe. It never feels stable. You can work 10 hours or 15 hours. Fear will always tell you to do more. That's why people get stuck. Because when your work is controlled by fear, you never stop long enough to learn, to think, to plan, to evaluate, to grow. You're too busy fighting fires to notice you're burning your future. You're too busy staying afloat to realize you're not moving anywhere. You become extremely active but barely productive, emotionally exhausted but financially stagnant, busy but not better. Fear makes you reactive instead of strategic. It pushes you to respond instead of reflect. It forces you to accept every opportunity instead of choosing the right ones. And over time, fear trains your brain to confuse working hard with making progress. They are not the same. They have never been the same. Working hard makes you tired. Working strategically makes you grow. Millions of people work harder than ever and yet feel stuck because they're trapped in emotional labor instead of intentional labor. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people, both work 8 hours a day. One spends the entire day trying to avoid mistakes, trying not to disappoint their boss, trying to complete tasks as quickly as possible to prove their worth, feeling anxious and rushed throughout. The other spends time understanding problems, building systems, developing skills, choosing tasks carefully, and setting boundaries. One is driven by fear, the other is driven by intention. After a year, after 5 years, after 10 years, who grows? Who evolves? Who creates opportunities? Who breaks the cycle? Fear makes you work harder. Intention makes you work smarter. But intention requires calm. It requires clarity. It requires space to think. Fear takes that away from you. This emotional mistake, working emotionally rather than strategically, shows up in many forms. For some people, it shows up as saying yes to every request because they're afraid of disappointing others. For others, it shows up as never resting, because they carry guilt every time they're not productive. For others, it shows up as doing everything alone because they're afraid to ask for help or afraid someone will think they are weak. Every one of these is emotional work. Draining work. Work that gives the illusion of movement, but produces very little real progress. And this mistake doesn't just slow down growth, it kills potential. Because you can't grow when you're constantly overwhelmed. You can't learn when you're constantly afraid. You can't innovate when you're constantly surviving. You can't build a future when you're constantly fighting the present. That's why so many people feel stuck even while working harder than ever. Because fear keeps them locked into today, repeating the same tasks, the same mistakes, the same choices, the same emotional reactions. Growth requires stepping back. Fear forces you to lean forward. Growth requires making long-term decisions. Fear forces you to chase short-term safety. And here is something uncomfortable, but true. People mistake exhaustion for achievement. They believe that feeling drained means they're doing something meaningful. They believe that sacrificing themselves guarantees success. They believe that suffering is proof of commitment. But suffering is not a strategy, exhaustion is not a plan, and burnout is not a badge of honor. The world doesn't reward how tired you are, it rewards how valuable you are. It rewards effectiveness, not effort. It rewards clarity, not chaos. But fear teaches you the opposite, that the more you struggle, the more you deserve success. And that belief keeps people working harder while growing less. So how do you break this cycle? First, you need to recognize the signs that your work is emotional instead of strategic. Do you feel guilty when you rest? Do you say yes when you want to say no? Do you overwork because you're afraid of disappointing people? Do you take on tasks just to feel useful? Do you avoid asking for help out of fear of judgment? Do you rush through your day instead of planning your day? Do you confuse movement with improvement? If the answer is yes to any of these, you're working emotionally. And emotional work always leads to stagnation. The solution begins with one powerful shift, switching from fear-based effort to intentional action. Instead of asking, how can I do more, start asking, what actually matters? Instead of asking, how do I avoid problems, ask, how do I create progress? Instead of letting fear decide your priorities, let clarity decide. Don't work to avoid losing, work to build something. Don't work to impress others, work to improve yourself. Don't work to stay busy, work to move forward. Your growth will change the moment your intentions change. Now let me tell you something transformative. Strategic rest is more valuable than emotional effort. When you rest with intention, your brain reorganizes ideas, strengthens learning, and creates new connections. That's how breakthroughs happen. But fear tells you that rest is dangerous, because it's the only moment you're not performing. Fear also tells you that mistakes define you, that failure is humiliating, that not doing enough means you're falling behind. That emotional pressure suffocates your ability to think, to learn, to grow. You become a machine, and machines don't evolve. To grow, you need space. To grow, you need mistakes. To grow, you need strategy. To grow, you need to stop letting emotions run your work. And here's something most people never realize. Your emotions want comfort, your future wants structure. Your emotions want immediate approval. Your future wants long-term commitment. Your emotions want the easiest task. Your future wants the most important one. Your emotions want you to keep running. Your future wants you to stop and think. People who grow are not the ones who feel the most pressure. They're the ones who choose the right pressure. They know when to step forward and when to step back. They don't rush blindly. They don't move out of fear. They build intentionally, slowly, consistently, strategically. And the moment you shift from emotional effort to intentional action, everything begins to change. Your income, your opportunities, your confidence, your clarity, your results. Thank you for watching Money Tips. Now I want to hear from you. What emotion do you think controls your work the most? Fear, guilt, pressure, or something else? Comment below, hit the like button, and subscribe if you want more videos that help you grow without burning yourself out. And don't forget to watch the next video on your screen. It's the perfect continuation of this journey.